Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first video edition of Random Thoughts of a Movie Insomniac. I am your host, The Vern, and I will be giving you a quick little recap of some of the movies I saw either on home video or in theaters. So before I ramble on and on, let's go get to the reviews, alright? Snowpiercer. Alright, so I went into this one completely blind. I did not watch any trailers or read any reviews, and I'd suggest you do the same thing. I'm going to give you now a few minutes to mute your speakers before I give you my thoughts. Alright, are we good? Okay. So, Snowpiercer, it's set in this alternative world where Second Ice Age has happened, and all the survivors have to live aboard this huge train that travels outside of the globe non-stop. Each section of the train, it represents a part of society, and the story begins on the last train with Chris Evans, John Hurt, Jamie Bell, and Octavia Spencer. They are all given this processed food, and they're basically told what to do by the military. One day, some of their kids get taken, and this is the final straw for them. They just get irritated as hell. So they devise a plan to get to the front of the train and take back their kids, as well as some of the freedom. It's one of the most original movies based on a really simple concept. Our main characters have to go from point A to point B and face obstacles along the way. Now, I mentioned before, the heroes in this are good, but the real scene stealer of this movie is Tilda Swinton. She has this comical villain-like vibe that is great. Her line delivery is extremely funny. And after this and Grand Budapest Hotel, I hope more people will check out her other works. This is also the first English language debut from Bong Joon-ho, who also directed The Host and Mother. And if you liked The Host, you will definitely like this one. So definitely check out his other films. There's a great scene in Snowpiercer with Alison Pill, which is just off the wall absurd. And in most action films, it wouldn't work, but for this one, it does. Fun action movie, I can't highly recommend it enough. Snowpiercer, go check it out. Sabrina. This is the classic romantic comedy with Audrey Hepburn, William Holden, and Humphrey Bogart. Basic story, it's about this chauffeur's daughter, played by Hepburn, who is in love with this rich, playboy-like character, played by Holden. The problem is that he never notices her at all. She becomes depressed, moves out to Paris for a couple of years, but when she comes back, the Holden character takes notice of her, and they start a little romance with each other. Now, Holden is supposed to be engaged to this rich woman, and their families are going to get together and have this nice big merger there. He doesn't really want to get married to her. Somehow he gets injured, and he asks his brother, who is very serious, played by Humphrey Bogart, if he'll look after the Audrey Hepburn character for a while, Sabrina. And those two start to develop a friendship, and they start to develop a little more chemistry, and you can tell exactly that, they're gonna have a romance as well. It's very predictable, but the performances from the three leads make it a very watchable movie. Although there were times I was afraid of Hepburn's character. She was really close to becoming a freaking psychopath. I mean, seriously, at one point early on in the movie, she stalks the William Holden character and his date for what seems like the whole time, and she's spying on them through a tree. And I really thought at one point, shit, she's gonna often kill this lady soon. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I have not seen the remake yet with Harrison Ford, Julia Ormond, and Greg Kinnear, but I will check that out on a future episode of this. Machete Kills. Alright, so the best way to watch this off-the-wall sequel is to look at it as mainly a comedy. Do not take 1 ounce of what happens on screen seriously. Hell, the trailer used at the front of it right away should tell you what kind of movie this is. If you're not on board by the time that trailer ends, then I'm sorry, this movie is not for you. Rebecca. The only Hitchcock movie to win a Best Picture award, Rebecca tells the tale of a young woman played by Joan Fontaine she meets this rich socialite played by Laurence Olivier, and through another whirlwind of romance one weekend, they agree to get married. However, when she gets to the mansion of where they now live, strange things begin to happen, and she soon discovers that the presence of his late wife is really strong, and everyone, including her husband, still seem to be heavily influenced and possessed by the woman known as Rebecca. It's a good gothic tale, and the performances from everyone makes this a really good watch. It's just the story alone didn't make it all that interesting. Girl gets married, she learns about Rebecca, she starts going crazy. Truth about Rebecca is revealed, someone else goes crazy, the end. In my mind, it's one of the weaker movies in Hitchcock's portfolio, but others may disagree. Nymphomaniac Volume 2. Right. Now, I wrote about the first volume on an earlier edition of Random Thoughts of a Movie Insomniac, but I thought I would just talk briefly about this one. I will be going into some slight spoilers if you haven't seen the first one. It's nothing huge, but I still want to warn you. Alright, so at the end of the first volume, Jo, played by the wonderful Charlotte Gainsbourg, loses any sort of sexual sensation she's had, and proceeds in this volume to try at any length, any sort of sexual fetish to get her motor running again, no matter the consequence. She gets involved with a sadomasochist played by Jamie Bell, who in my mind makes Mr. Grey from that 50 Shades of Grey book look like Mr. Rogers. She tries a three-way with two black guys with less than satisfying results for her, and at one point even tries to join in a support group who insist on telling her that she is a sex addict when she quite simply explains that no, she is a nymphomaniac. As viewers, we are expecting something really traumatic to help explain why she is the way she is, and for her to have this big revelation near the end that what she is doing is wrong and should we forgive her, but we never did that. And I'm glad we do, because if it was done that way, it would be wrong. Jo is not doing anything dangerous or too self-loathing. She is in complete control of what she wants. She never sells herself for money, or even buys sex like the Michael Fassbender character does in Shame. She's very upfront and honest about her sexuality, and even upfront and honest about other sexual behaviors. The only gripe I have about this is that at the very end, a certain character makes a choice that in my mind doesn't match what they did earlier. But you may disagree on that. Now, Charlotte Gainsbourg, she should have been nominated for her work. I mean, she gives one of the most naked performances, both physically and emotionally, I have seen so far this year. I really hope more people will check out the other films she's made. You can listen to me and guest Christina Lui talk about her on season 3 of the As You Watch podcast. Just type in asyouwatch.wordpress.com, click the link for season 3, and find her name there. Alright, so that's it for what I've seen recently. If you have any suggestions or comments about what you saw, please leave me a comment below. I always try my best to follow other sites back and, read your stuff too. So let's do it, people. Let's build a community of other people. We're going to be awesome and start building shit like Legos, but only with movie reviews, if that makes any sense. Probably not. But in any case, I will see you cats and kittens hopefully soon.